foremost, thank you, Glenda, for your kind invitation. I've known Glenda for some time now, and I truly do regard her as a pioneer, not just in your community, but I think in Preston. She's a resilient person, someone who's able to navigate really difficult waters that not just your community are sadly going through and have gone through, but also our communities and generations of refugees and asylum seekers. As I was sat down a few moments ago and the songs and the hymns were being played, you may have noticed that I wasn't getting involved. That doesn't mean that I don't value what is being said, but rather that's a choice that a human being has, is that we can be tolerant and understanding, but without having ill intent. And I think this is what the world needs more, is that we have to be safe in our own skin. And when we are safe in our own skin, then we can be confident about who we are. And I think sometimes there seems to be this illusion that we have to be the same. And I don't really believe in that, the fact that we have to be the same. Because when you try, often you'll hear from people in political circumstances that this community doesn't assimilate, or this community doesn't integrate, and why isn't it not doing so? And often there's trauma behind that. It's difficult to be how you want us to be, is because we've suffered so much and we're still getting to that position of healing. And being different is beautiful. And being different and being able to understand is even more beautiful. The fact that a Muslim can be in a church and listen to beautiful hymns and poetry whilst not theologically believing in the faith tradition, I find to be really remarkable. And I think this is what we're missing in all of our communities. And I'll give you an example. So, once in our mosque, well, let me rephrase, once in a mosque in Preston, a non-Muslim delegation had come for a visit, and the Imam said to me that the ladies should cover their hair. And I said, why? If they've come to the mosque, they've come to the mosque. And though we might believe in the understanding of a different Lord, the Lord remains the same. That He's the merciful, He's the compassionate, He's the just. And our Lord He knows our next breath before we know our next breath. And He's closer to us than our jugular vein. That is how intimate our Lord is with us. Why does she need to cover her hair? And I think those types of challenges are drifting people away from the beauty of humanity, that we can be who we are, but maintain our distinct differences. Once I was with one of my Christian friends, and he said to me that the fact that we're different is far more powerful than the fact that we have to a degree, and try to assimilate where our distinct differences are beautiful. There is a theme that has emerged from these presentations, which is our elders. And I think we can safely say that without our elders, who have paved this way, like the presentation of our friend who spoke earlier about his daughter saying that she's found a house. And before my father passed away, he sold his business and he bought 2 properties. And I now live in one of those properties, mortgage free. And I was once Googling the definition of a mortgage, and it means asphyxiation. This strangulation. And even though I'm grateful to my Lord for this blessing, you often see people in difficult challenges who have to pay a mortgage. But this is just an analogy of so much of our elders that have done for our community. I mean, my ignorance, I haven't done much research around the Windrush scandal, but for heaven, you were born in this country and having to be told like you can't be here. That's trauma of an unprecedented scale. And I think as communities, whether you're from the white, black, Asian, I mean, we had an event the other day, and there was a Ukrainian speaker, a Palestinian speaker, and a Syrian speaker, and it was about coexistence. The fact that what really annoys me is that we still have to have events around coexistence. Shows us how far we actually are. The fact that we have to remind people to be good to one another shows us in reality how far we are as a human species. And I think there's a challenge right now, which I'm seeing, that we're going through a bit of a war between good and evil. And the bad people, whoever they are, there's many of them, probably list 1,000 names, they don't want this to happen. They don't want a Muslim in a church. They don't want a white man leading a congregation. Because they don't like the power of what this means. And I was saying to a young Muslim boys a few days ago, I said, look, you need to just forget for a moment about what's happening around the world, because what's happening around the world will defeat you. It'll kill your soul. When you bring global issues on a local issue, it'll destroy your soul. And I said, there's so many beautiful things locally in your communities. And if you hear often the international agenda, you'll just end up destroying yourself and the people around you. And I said, it's so important to know who your next door neighbor is. My Prophet Muhammad, he said that your next door neighbor is 40 houses on either side. And he was speaking so much about inheritance that his companions thought that he would one day end up saying that your inheritance could be left to your next door neighbors. And I did that. I said to my boy who's 9 years old, I said, look, today is our Eid. Let's go and see our next door neighbor. And he was a Christian man, old man. And we sat with him and we exchanged gifts, and it was beautiful. And I think people don't want to see that happen. And what we have to do as people, because I believe that God works in mysterious ways. And everyone around here, we have voices, and we can do things which are powerful and enabling. And we can't lose sight of the difference that we have in our communities, the ability to defend each other, the ability to defend I have sat in so many circles where I've heard people from my community criticize black people. This stereotypical connotation that I've always, hand on heart, I've always said, no, you can't say that. You can't say that. And we need to break this trend. And I think we all have to do that. When we hear people talking ill about the Christian community, we should say as Muslims, no, you can't do that. You can't say that about the Christian community. If people are talking about the Chinese community, no, you can't say that about the Chinese community. And we have to be that strong voice. Otherwise, if we lose our voice, what happens? The bad people come in. They see a vacuum. When David Lammy became the Foreign Secretary, some of the comments on social media. When Shaban Mahmood became the Secretary, Rishi Sunak, even within the Reform political, when they had a new chairman who was an Asian, the same comments. And it's sad. It really is. But I think just to end on this note that we are all powerful. Whether you're a young man who's just finished university, whether you're in your mid-30s established and you have children, whether you're 80 or 90 years old and you're thinking, I've done so much, what else can I do now? There is so much that all of us can do until our last breath. And we just have to fight to bring people together. It's going to be hard. I remember someone said to me 10 years ago that, do you want to become rich? And I'm like, yeah. They said, stop speaking about peace. Stop talking about hatred. You become rich overnight. Each controversy sells. But I guarantee you, on that day when we're in the proximity of our Lord, there will be a great reward for people who brought peace into the world. And through that, many lives were saved. Thank you.
Before Glenda come forward, I just want to say thank you. Islam means what?
Peace.
Peace, exactly. And I think you're one of the great representatives of Islam to talk about peace. Unfortunately, not all representatives of Islam speak the same way.
True.
So thank you very much. I really enjoyed your sharing today. And you're quite right. This is probably the first time that Muslims actually spoke. No, it's not. We've had other Muslims speaking in the church, haven't we, before? Yeah. But, it's one of the first times I've actually heard such a clear call for peace. And so thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
So who's first, Glenda or David? Glenda instead of David. Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to try.
Are you okay to come out? So.